In today's video, I'm going to be discussing a creative process that is completely underleveraged in today's marketplace. In fact, this is the same exact creative process that we use to scale brands to 30, 40, 50, 100 plus $1,000 days, kind of like the brands that you see here in front of my screen. And in case you are a completely new viewer and you have no idea who I am, my name is Brando. I actually work with 7 and multiple 8-figure brands, and this is just one of our own clients that yesterday alone generated over $36,000 in sales. I'm showing you this not because it's a case study or anything, but just to show you the type of caliber of clients that we have access to and the data that we have access to on a daily basis. Now, let's jump right into the video. I want to say one important thing, okay? The thing is that you cannot be lazy. Right? The focus should be on one thing and one thing only, at least to get you to that next level. And of course, I'm assuming you have decent product, right? A product with like some unique features to it, a decent landing page. I'm not saying your landing page should suck, right? I'm saying that the thing that will make the biggest impact is just making better ads. And as I say over here, the reality is that most brands owners focus on the wrong things. It's all about the basics, as I say in this little paragraph. What scales a business are great ads. If you do great ads, how many times have we seen like amazing commercials, amazing ads, advertorials, whatever you want to call them, that go to like an ugly landing page but those ads have like thousands of comments, thousands of shares. Chances are it's profitable, right? And so not the ones that spend 10,000 at a 2.3 ROAS. We don't want to go after those types of ads. A winner is something that spends a lot, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars consistently that generates 2, 3, 4, whatever X return that you need to make it sustainable for your business. And so keep one thing in mind. There's typically 3 types of winners. I'm going to break down this entire process. I have so much to show you, as you can see over here. I have a lot to show you, some diagrams here and there. I also have some creative documents that I want to show you. So stick until the end. It's super, super important that you do. But I want to start with some basics. There are 3 types of winners. There's something called a small winner, which I don't really, consider a winner, to be honest. Then there's a decent winner, and then there's something I like to call a big daddy winner. Okay, so the small winner is something that spends maybe 2-3 grand, maybe a bit less, 2-3 ROAS, whatever, profitable, but it's not really as consistent. Something that is a decent winner is something that spends, I wouldn't even say $100,000. I would even say like in the tens of thousands of dollars. So 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000. And then in anything above $100,000 is typically a big daddy winner. And those are the super, really, really consistent ads that are typically like lasting like 3, 6, 12 months or more. And they're just getting all the spend and they're just like there, okay? And so you need to understand that there's these types of ads, and we want to find as many as the decent winners and the big daddy winners as possible to make sure that we do this every single week. Imagine if we find a decent to a big daddy winner every single week. What's going to happen to your ad account? You're not going to focus on the landing page too much, are you? Because it's going to allow you to scale. And so let's go over step by step exactly. I have like 6 steps to bring you through, and it all starts with funnel hacking your best direct competitor. If I have to be honest, it all starts with research, which I guess this is part of a research process, right? As I say here, doing the research is absolutely critical. It's important to find a direct competitor that is selling a similar or the same product or similar variation or the same vertical or industry to you, to fully understand what is working for them and why it's working, okay? What is working and why is working. If you don't really understand why things are working, then you pretty much like you're just going to be a copycat, which you don't. And as I say here, the reality is that they have already spent the millions of dollars trying to figure it out, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So there's nothing worse and nothing harder than like completely reinventing the wheel. We want to leverage existing infrastructures that are working, not copy them, but understand why they work so that we can leverage those systems and processes and hand them over to my team, and they can reproduce the same things. So I'm going to bring you through a tool that I use. It's really, really useful. But we use a tool called Atria, Foreplay. You can use whatever you want. Atria is just the one that I recommend. And we take a look at, let's just say we're analyzing Dr. Squatch an ad. We take a look at all their ads. We filter by best running ads. We take a look at their hooks, their themes, what types of ads they're running, their headlines, their emotions, their ad copies, the desires that they're going after when it comes to their advertising and their angles, their ad angles. So, in this case, they're going after health, smooth skin, aesthetics, boosting attractiveness, right? They're all different angles. And then USPs, right? Now, what are they promoting on the actual ads? And so let me just show you a quick example. This is the tool that we use. It's called Atria. You can log in, you create your account. I think it's $100 a month or something. This is just BugMD. It's like one of the competitors that we're currently funnel hacking for, a client. And so we take a look and we filter by longest running ads, so we know what ads have been running the most. Why is this important? Well, because if we want to funnel hack what's working for them, we better understand what are the ads that have been running the most. And so this is an example, a perfect example of an ad that has been running since April. So April, May, June, July. It's like 4 months. An ad that is 3-4 months old, even like 3 weeks old, a couple weeks old, that is still on, is probably an ad that is profitable, right? So we want to look at these types of ads, and guess what we can do? We can also look at all their landing pages, their personas. I'm not going to do it right now, but literally you can also click on the ad, and this is what I like about this tool, and you can transcribe the script of the ad, and then you can create also similar scripts, and then you can leverage AI to basically build it in your own way. So why is understanding the script important? Well, it's because what actually makes the entire freaking ad, and so you better understand what makes or breaks an ad completely. Okay, so let me just go back to this diagram. Once we understand and funnel hack our best direct competitor, step number 2 is to break theirs and also our best winning ads. Why do I say both? It's because we want to do theirs because they're obviously killing it. And I also want to break down my own winning ads to understand why they work. As I say here, this can be considered by far one of the most important activities that will allow you to find the big daddy winners, as I said above, that allow you to scale. And not just like one out of luck, but several and repeatedly over time, week over week, ideally. Or at least even if you find one real big daddy winner a month, like you will scale. You will scale. So mastering the art of breaking down winning ads and understanding why they work will allow you to scale to the next level, I promise, okay? So one quick thing that we do is that I have my team, my creative strategist, my head of performance, anybody who is in charge of the creative department, go through our own ads first, and then also the best ads of our best direct competitor. And so once we find we notice and we know for a fact also by looking through the feed. One thing that we do, by the way, before I move on, is that we actually follow the brand on Instagram. We like their posts, we comment, we add to cart, we initiate checkout, so that the brand actually retargets us. And then on our feed, literally in front of our eyes, the next day or like within a week, we're going to see one of their best performing ads that has thousands of comments. We want to understand and break down that ad. And so we find it, we analyze it into a tool that I just showed you right now called Atria. So we would click on the ad, as I showed you before, and then we would click on the button called transcript, right? Transcribe the script. And then once it generates the script for us, then we can use tools like ChatGPT where we can like copy and paste the script over here and ask several things to understand further why the ad was working. And so this brings me to my next point, right? This is the script. We go into ChatGPT. We like to use 4.0 or 0.3. These are the best like ChatGPT versions that we use. And we ask for 4 different things. The ad breakdown, to break down the ad. We want ChatGPT to do it for us. The ad framework, the bind triggers of the ad, and the required B-rolls that are required to reproduce this shot, okay? Or this type of ad. And so this is one thing that we do. Once again, this is all from ChatGPT. Ad framework, we also, have, once we give the script, it gives us a scene by scene breakdown, and then we can just connect it with the B-roll. The bind triggers, what are people actually, what is triggering people to buy? And so in this case is like it's founder trust, because the founder was on the video, simplicity and convenience. There was a lot of urgency and FOMO in the actual video, and there's a pattern interrupt in the video as a hook. I actually saw the ad is super fun hook. In this case, it was from Dr. Squatch. And then all the required B-rolls, so we have an understanding of what type of B-rolls are actually resonating with the marketplace. Once we have all this, and stay with me until the end, because I haven't even showed you one of our really, really cool sheet that we use to put all this information together, that is we use day in and day out for our clients. One other thing that we go to the next level of analytics, because we're so nerdy, is that we actually do breakdowns and create visual representations. I'm going to show you another example as well in just a second, so that my team knows exactly the structure of the ad. So this is the entire ad, as you can see. We divided by the segment, we divided by frames, so we know what happens in the first 5 seconds, in the next 3 seconds, second 8 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, you get the point. And so with a little B-roll explanation so that my team knows exactly what is the ad segment. Of course, this is like the ad would be a lot longer, but I just simplified it into 2 or 3 structures just for you to understand the point. Then they understand, my creative team knows what B-rolls are required, the explanation of the B-roll, and just the explanation of the ad segment. So what is a segment? It's like hook, story, offer. What is the structure of the video? Once we understand all of this, this is like gold. Why is this important? Because the winning ads are the winners, are typically the ads that have high and long retention. So we want to study what is retaining people and what is triggering people to buy, which is basically the script, and how we put the B-roll together. Okay. Step number 3. And by the way, we have a lot of documents here that I haven't showed you yet. Let me just show you very quickly. We do this very methodically. We have a sheet called, where is it? Over here. Scientific ad breakdown. It's just one of the many sheets that we use. So this would be an example of a sheet where we study the ad. In this case, a podcast style ad. This is the link. This is the winner, right? Let's just say this is our winner. So we break it down. This is all ChatGPT. We break down the buying triggers, and then we do like a frame by frame comparison, which is what I just showed you over here. But just like, this is just for the YouTube video, just so you see it in a more clear way. But this is how we actually present it to my internal team. So we have timestamps, the sections, the hook, credibility, relatable testimonial, whatever, failed attempts, failed solutions. Then we have descriptions, B-rolls, and the ad segment explanation. It's the same exact thing. As you can see, it's very time consuming to do this. This is like a 40-page document, by the way, for just one client, right? So as we move on and work with clients, we actually build these foundations. So we make it unreasonable for my team to understand what actually made an ad work. So going back to this framework, once we have this, step number 3 is to gather the necessary content to reproduce winners. And so once again, we analyzed what makes the winner over here. So we have an understanding what type of content is resonating with the type of audience. And so I'm not saying that you have to study the ad and just copy and paste it. You don't have to do that. You need to understand the components that make or break an ad. In this case, it's the script. In this case, it's the B-roll. And in this case, it's the ad segment, right? Because that is what makes an actual ad. So if we can understand that, the next step is understanding what type of content we need to reproduce winners. Not copy and paste, once again, not copy and paste this, but understand the type of content that they're producing so that we can do the same for us. And so once we understand that, we organize everything into a document called required B-roll shots, which is a document which I'll show you also later. But just to give you a sneak peek, B-roll shots, right? And so this is something that looks something like this, where we basically put all the required shots into a document. Once again, this is a 30-page document. It takes a bit of time, but it's really, really valuable because now my team knows all the shots that are worthwhile, that are worth using in the videos because they work and it's resonating with the market. So this is a whole explanation. On another note, you also need this because whenever you work with creators, you send them exactly what they need to reproduce and you share them with creators. So we use creators in different ways. If we work with one creator, let's just say 3 creators, we ask them for like a traditional B-roll, but we also ask them for a lot of B-roll shots because with the B-roll shots, we can then reproduce whatever we want, right? I don't need to probably explain this to you. You know this by now. And so we end up with a mega B-roll folder and now we're able to reproduce ads and do whatever we want and have kind of like full liberty into what we want to reproduce, okay? Step number 4, probably the most important step, is to create a winning, we call it a wholly creative document. And the whole goal, listen to me clearly because this is really important. The whole goal and objective of this document, which I'm going to show you in just a second, is to have everything, all the proven buying triggers, the required B-rolls, the winning ads, the winning scripts, the winning creators, ad breakdowns, everything that my creative team needs to understand what works, even when it comes to avatars and research. Let me show you an example. So this is what we called our wholly creative document. Let me just move myself a little bit over here. But this is what it is. So we have different segments, and we're also expanding this as we speak. But these are the primary ones. We have general information about the brand, some KPIs about the brand, and then we have research, creative strategy, and sales process. Research is composed. This is where all the gold goes. So when you have your creative strategist, like do your actual Reddit research, customer mining, understanding everything about your customers, This is where we store everything, including winning ad frameworks. In fact, if we go into the creative section, we have winning ad breakdowns, which is what I showed you before, right? We also have like concepts by idea. So this is of course a demo sheet. I can't really show you client stuff, but this is a document that we actually, use as a foundation and we fill up over time. We also have like concepts and research and ideas based on Atria, which is the tool that we just use over here. So anytime we find something that works from maybe one of our best direct competitors, we add it to the sheet. And then we also have like a competitor winning ads sheet. You get the point. There's also so many other sheets like TikTok research, Amazon reviews, where we like do all the Reddit stuff, Reddit reviews, avatars, where we break down customer avatars even more, and then just customer reviews, where we actually manually read reviews and we highlight what makes or breaks, what makes or breaks, or what customers are actually thinking, their aspirations, who they want to be, who they want to become, and who they're looking up to, right? Once we understand all those things, their language barriers, whatever they're using, we can basically make better ads. And so all this research, customer research goes in here, creative research goes in here, and then we have a creative strategy tabs where this is where we track the best UGC creators, the best angles and hooks, the winning scripts, concepts and ideas, required B-roll shots, which is what I just showed you over here. We basically store everything. And then sales process is just like the best sales journey. For example, if we go after this avatar, what is the best sales journey based on what we're seeing in the market, or based on like what we're studying, based on anything that we've learned so far? In this case, maybe we should do a UGC ad, go into an advertorial, go into a direct offer, because it's this avatar resonates with that. So we're basically tracking everything. We're also tracking winning landing pages and best offers that are working right now in the market that we want to maybe take advantage of. I know that I ranted a lot, but we literally use this document once again to have all the information of what makes or breaks ads, information about our customers, so that we can come up with new ideas. And the whole goal here is not to basically it's not to basically like copy and paste from our best competitor. That doesn't make any sense. It's for us to understand what is making the ads work so that we can come up with our own ideas, right? We don't want to just copy frameworks left and right. And so once again, all this goes into the creative document, which is then shared to my team. The next step over here, which is probably one of the most important thing, is to track like a nerd. If you have an idea of a test and you put it to life because of this amazing document, which I just showed you, and it's helping you, and you come up with a great concept, but then you don't track it, you might as well not even do it in the first place. So one document that we use methodically and religiously every single day is something called a command center. I go through this every single time. You can actually get this sheet for free if you click on the third link in the description. This command center has something called a creative testing tracker, which every single creative test that we put into our ad account, we actually track religiously, as I said over here, into the sheet. So we track what made the test from a marketing angle standpoint, the main emotion that we're trying to trigger on the concept, the avatars that we're targeting, the hook, the messaging, the copy, the creatives, and then we also have, like, of course, custom metrics. And this is, by the way, also how we track hit rate, right? How do we track hit rate? Well, we basically analyze the results of the ads, and we have like 4 different annotations: winners, to be break even, to be determined, or loser, right? And so depending on what the status of the ad is, we determine how many winners, what is our hit rate, how many ads we need to reproduce to find an actual medium to large size Big Daddy winner. So this is something that we need to track. If we don't track this, then we're basically not being efficient with our creatives and our resources, because we don't know how many ads it takes us to reproduce something that is a winner. And so we track methodically and very religiously also for this reason. If you track, you understand what works. Probably the most important aspect of this is to actually come up with learnings. If you just put something on the ad account and you don't analyze why the ad worked or why the ad did not work, and in most cases it's not going to work, 80, 90, 95% of the time the ad is not going to work. So you would be doing literally a disservice to yourself if you did not spend 10 minutes understanding, hey, why is this concept number 4 not working? Oh, it's because the hook rate was only 20%, or the hold rate was also just only 20%. And also the cost per click was just really, really high. And the CTR was horrible, actually, 0.28%. So these are all indications that give you an understanding. Cost per click, super, super high. So it's all giving us indication of why things are not working, and then we can reverse engineer and start putting hypotheses on, if that is even a word, an hypothesis on our kind of in our brains, right? And then we go back to this kind of wholly creative document. We go back to the drawing board and we come up with new ideas. Hopefully this makes sense, but this is what actually matters. If we have to just condense everything into step number 6, which is rinse and repeat, this is how it works. Do a bunch of research on your avatars. Do a bunch of research on your competitors. Find your best direct competitor. Study their funnels and their winning ads, and study also your. I also say study your own, because many times we launch something, it works, and then we don't understand why it worked, right? And so this is really, really important to understand. So step number 2, study the competitors and your winning ads. Break them down. Break them down, meaning literally break them down by the second, so you understand what is the component, what makes the entire ad and why it's working. What is the framework, the ad segment, what creators are they using, what type of ad is it? Is it a fast-paced? Is it a split screen? Is it a raw UGC video? Understand everything there is about the ad so that you can reproduce it in your own way. Gather the required content. Add research plus frameworks to the creative document, what I just showed you over here, right? All of this creative document stuff. Next step is send it to the creative team, and then have them use their creativity, imagination, and skill to put all those resources together and come up with concepts that actually make sense and are backed by data, which is the most important thing. And then add your test once it's done, of course, to the creative testing tracker sheet, which is this one over here that I just showed you. Add everything over here. And then the last step is make data-driven hypothesis after the test is over. Did it work? Good. Why did it work? Did it not work? Why did it? Most likely, we can't maybe understand exactly why it didn't work, because sometimes it's hard to track these things, but we can always make hypotheses, right? If we can make an hypothesis, that we can put it into the ad account, and the hypothesis should always be backed by the numbers that you see on your ad account, or any data-driven decision. It should never be random. It should always be backed by data. Hopefully this video was valuable. Let me know if it was. If you are a brand doing at least $100,000 a month, plus or minus, and you want an opportunity to work with us, or you want to hop on a call so that you can hop on we can basically do an audit and explore the opportunity of working together. That is typically something we do. You're going to have a call with me or one of my team members, and then we can, as I said before, explore the opportunity of working together if we still have capacity to, for new partners, okay, new partnerships. That is it for this video. See you on the call, and definitely see you in the next video. Bye for now.